Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you as well, Bob. How was your weekend?
It was busy, but I played a lot of golf. I got lots of sun, and that meant I slept really well, so it's all good.
How'd those new clubs work out? Did you figure them out?
They're getting better. It's got some work.
Okay. Fair enough. For those of you who don't know, Bob recently got some new golf clubs, and he had them lengthened, and they have a little different weight distribution, and so he's been figuring them out.
Yeah, something like that.
Great. Good to hear.
How was your weekend, Tom?
My weekend was busy with lacrosse. I officiate women's lacrosse for those who don't pay attention every day. So I went to a clinic, which is, a good discussion, part of the discussion of what we'll talk about this week. And then yesterday I had, there was a play day at a local college that I went and did 3 games there. And it was hot yesterday, I thought, for some reason. Just was hotter than the day before. So
it's warm across the country. I saw on the news this morning that it's going to be 75 in Chicago today. The normal high is like 58.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It was nice and cool at night, so it was a beautiful night. So it was good.
Yep.
Good.
Cool.
Good. Go ahead.
No, I was waiting for you to. It's all good.
All right. So welcome everyone. This is today's Antidote, our daily and podcast. Ooh, you moved, shifted that woo-woo from wherever to wherever. So, for those of you who don't follow very often, Bob's got a couple of little regular things that he does as a part of this. That if you're listening to the podcast, you are missing out on, because it definitely adds some flavor to our discussion and our show. So one of the ways that we start every day is by sharing our celebrations. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
I didn't plan for this today. How is that possible? Wow, I dropped the ball. I'm going to celebrate flexibility. Okay. So I am blessed with people in my life who are incredibly flexible. And I've noticed it a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Flexible like a gymnast, or flexible like
flexible like they aren't committed to this is the only way forward.
Okay.
And I'm a person who looks for different angles on things, and having people around me who support flexibility is a good thing for me and a good thing for them. And you're one of them. We changed the topic on this for right before we started, and we didn't miss a beat. And I think that flexibility allows for a much more refined result often.
Awesome. I like that. So you're celebrating not only your ability to be allowed to be flexible with what you do, but also those who support you by being flexible to allow for you to do what you need to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. As an example.
I was trying to wrap that together, and as more I kept talking, I think I got more confused. So, well, that's a great thing to celebrate. I thought initially you were going to talk about your own flexibility. You were stretching, doing whatever.
No, far from it. How about you? What are you celebrating?
So I am celebrating today the people who support us. It's just interesting that as I've gone through this progress in lacrosse, the number of people who are willing to be supportive and willing to help out, that you can have conversations. There's a couple of people who have all been working towards clinics, different levels of clinics. And, it was nice because one of the people that have been in our group sent me a nice message Saturday morning before the clinic. It's like, have a great day. Good luck with it. I think I had shared last week that I was with my buddy Frank at this clinic. And so having, being able to have someone there that you could talk through different things and not feel like you were alone. And then, people who are willing to give their time to come and provide feedback or thoughts or, whatever the case may be is, something that I'm thankful for, that it's nice to have a community, kind of like our Ring of Renegades community, where there are people who are willing to share and to provide what value they have, knowledge, experience, and perspective, so that others can grow. And I think that you don't hear enough about all the support and the people that you get, and that's really how people continue to grow. Whether that's your boss, your supervisor, a mentor, a peer, to have those people who are willing to give of themselves and what they know to help us get better. And I think that was some things were running through my head this weekend about, getting to where I've gotten at the moment in this journey along the lacrosse pathway.
Nice. I like that. So we've got flexibility and support.
What is the world celebrating, though?
Hey, first I got to say good morning, Troy. He says, happy Monday, gentlemen. Back at you, Troy.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being
happy
with
Monday
us.
To you.
So the world is celebrating National Golf Lovers Day.
Come on, you made that up. That's the one that you were like, this falls into this.
No, and here's the funny thing, Tom. I didn't look this up until we started the program, so I was really behind. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Sure enough, it's National Golf Lovers Day. Celebration for people who love golf. And there are people, I've gotten to know a couple of people who actually don't play golf and don't enjoy the outdoors part of golf, but love to watch it on TV. And they find, I've heard it's soothing, it's relaxing, it's great background for when I'm just doing stuff around the house. And so wherever golf fits into your life, I do know one person really close to me who took golf lessons with a friend, and she took her first lesson, came home and said, so I don't know why you like chasing that little white ball around. I think it's really stupid. And that was pretty much the end of her golf career.
Sometimes it happens. Well, I think, you have to, I think it's sort of the right, whatever your frame of mind is, being really clear about what's the purpose for why you're going out to do it. Is it because you like the social aspect of it? Because there is definitely those opportunities. If you like there's a time when, for me, there was nothing better. It was when I was single, going out at like 6 o'clock when there was nobody on the course.
In the evening.
In the
summer. Yeah.
No one on the course. The sun was setting. And I could just kind of unwind. It was great. And if somebody was out there and I got and if somebody I knew and we played together, that was fine as well. And so I think you just have to figure out, why are you in it? Maybe you're competitive and you like the competing not only against someone else, but against the course, and kind of yourself and your swing, and mental thoughts. So I think that there's a lot of really interesting things about it. So that's cool that they have a day to celebrate golf lovers.
That's it. There you have it. All right.
How will you celebrate Golf Lovers Day?
I played some golf yesterday and I'm playing golf this coming Wednesday. So I think I'm probably going to be working today.
So you're not going to celebrate the day?
I might go out and hit a couple of balls. There's a little putting area near me and I have a new putter as well. So I might go out and putt some balls to.
Aren't you at the beach? Couldn't you practice your sand game?
I did that a lot yesterday.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Not
All
really.
righty. So let's dive into our topic. For the last, it's hard to believe it's October, even though the first was on Friday. And all of September, we talked a little bit about sort of giving some insight into kind of what it is to be a renegade, what it means, how they roll, what a renegade day looks like. We spent a lot of time last week talking about that. And I think this topic is a good one because I think it's one that every renegade has to figure out one way or another, because they're trying to do something unique and different. And because the path isn't there necessarily or clear to them, because they don't necessarily have all the knowledge, experience, and perspective they need, at some point there has to be some investment, right? It have to be an opportunity to invest in whether it's yourself or your business or whatever. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Renegade Investment and a little bit about what that means. So, Bob, any thoughts?
Sure, I always have thoughts.
Really?
The first thought I'd have is that most people I talk to who are entrepreneurs or small business owners are reluctant to invest in the things that probably move them the farthest forward. And it's interesting to me, you invested, I remember still the day you texted me and said, hey, I committed to this coaching program, and I knew what that coaching program cost. And I was like, whoa, this guy's serious about this. And I remember the day I invested in a coaching program that was far more expensive than I could ever imagine spending. But in both our cases, I think it led us down a path that was much faster and much clearer than it would have been if we were fumbling around by ourselves. And I've started two businesses. The first business I started, I didn't invest much at all. I bought business cards. I shoestringed it across the board. I swore when I started a second business, I would not make that mistake again. And some of the things I've committed to investing in, marketing. You got to get your message out there, and you can't just have business cards. That's not enough. You got to do more than that. I invested in finding the expertise that I've needed to be better at the things I need to do to be successful. I took a LinkedIn course with the guy who's an expert on LinkedIn. It really made a difference in how I've used LinkedIn and all social media. And I've also invested in, I've committed my time to my business in a, not just I'm working today, but today's Monday and I've got a schedule and I've got it mapped out using our Renegade Day Pack. I know what I'm doing, and that's an investment. And that's one thing we didn't say last week, Tom, when we talk about the Renegade Day. The most precious commodity that we have is our time. And so if we're not investing our time wisely, we run a real risk. And investing time also is, if it takes me 7 weekends to build a website, but someone could do it for me for $800 or $1,200 or $2,000 in 2 days, and their result would be better, that's both a silly time investment for me and something that I should be investing in with that person. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that I think we get caught up on investment, and I think you started out with it, and I think it's valuable that sometimes it's about financial resources, sometimes. But one of the things I always like to talk with nonprofit organizations about, because they get hung up on that. Sometimes they don't like asking people for money. Well, there are a lot of other things that people can use to invest. And I think as a renegade, thinking about how you leverage all of these different resources is really an investment. So there is, as you mentioned, your time. There's also your knowledge. Have you sat down and figured out what you know and what you don't know? And what are the things that, if you're going to improve, what knowledge do you need to gain? The other thing is a huge resource that I don't know that we invest in, is our network. We all have connections. And yet I think sometimes when we start a business, let's say we try to be entrepreneurial, we don't often think of that as a resource to invest in. Are we going out and contacting people? If you're someone who has just been displaced from a job, I think sometimes we're so worried about sharing that information that we don't go to our network and say, hey, here's just what's real. And, if there's any help you can provide or anything, or people I should talk to, that would be great. And so I think that we need to look at all of those as a way to invest. What are the resources we have that we can invest in whatever it is we're trying to do? One of the ways I invested in my officiating was I found somebody else who had other knowledge that I didn't. And so when I had a question, I could call them up. And that was an investment, not only of me being willing to ask, but also someone else being willing to give it back. And so I think when you're thinking about it, trying to be really clear about what do you need to help you move forward, and then going out and finding where are those opportunities to really invest in trying to increase your knowledge, experience, or your perspective, so that you're able to go from where you are right now to where you want to be. Because otherwise, I think what happens is people get stuck and they're like, well, or they try to do it by themselves, and we've talked about that ad nauseum, probably, about how.
Oh, look at you bringing the Latin in. Ad nauseum. Wow. And you say I'm the guy who brings in the words.
Every once in a while, I just have to show that I do have some knowledge of the English language and other.
No, that was Latin.
And other languages.
Okay.
You didn't let me get there.
Okay.
And so I think that that's a hard thing to do. Is, again, when you see yourself as a leader or as someone who's trying to take on this big challenge, you don't always want to ask for help. And whether asking for help is actually going and physically asking someone to help you, or by investing in a product, a service, a person to help really move that needle forward quicker. Because you can likely make progress on your own. And there's enough things out there that you can, there's plenty on the internet for you to go and try to figure out what it is you're trying to achieve. Or you can, and do that for free or no cost, or you can then figure out, like, okay, where are people who really understand what I'm trying to accomplish? And as you said, build a website in 2 days rather than 2 weeks, saving you, might cost you a little bit on one side, and it's saving you on the side of time, which would allow you to do other things that you are more, you have more experience in, and maybe you enjoy doing more, and it's going to help you move yourself or your organization in a different direction.
When we think, Tom, about investing, if you invest money, that usually means that you're going to put a sum into some sort of financial instrument, and you're hoping that your return will exceed what you invested. So if you invest $1,000, you're in your head, you're going, I want to get back 1,001 or more. Often if I put in 1,000, I'm hoping to get 1,200 back in a couple months or a couple years. That's the logic of investing. And I think when you apply that to business, it isn't financial. So for instance, on Saturday, I was talking to a friend I do some work with, and I needed to create some financial numbers for a prospective client. And this required some manipulation of just putting a lot of different data in places and percentages. This person knows me. I said, I'll do it. And he said to me, it's financial, it's numbers. How about if I do it for you? And at first I was like, no, I should be able to do it myself. He persisted, not aggressively, but he said, why don't you let me do it? It'll take me like 5 minutes. It's going to take you all day. And then he said something to me about the fact that, hey, when it comes to writing emails, I let you do that. I just don't even bother with that. So you should let me do these numbers. And that logic, he did it in probably 10 minutes. It's perfectly done. I could have done it. It would have taken me 2.5 hours, and I'm not sure I would have gotten it right. And he would have had to probably fix it for me at the end. So sometimes it's just doing that cost benefit analysis, excuse the pun, but I think that's hard for us to do because I, on Saturday morning, felt like I had to do it. It's my job. It's my project. It's my thing. I need to do it. And getting help from someone else, even someone I completely trust, it was difficult to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let this go. But the result was he came back with this information. I was like, I couldn't have done it the way he did it. It was exactly what the client needs. And I have to just say in my head, let it go. That's a good thing. Tom, I want to bring some comments in. John Hansen's with us this morning. He says they don't invest in coaching or technology, marketing, going paperless, or a mistake. Mistakes can be huge to figuring out the right way to do things. He also adds, people don't invest in themselves. Can't agree more. People don't invest in leveraging financial resources like banks. They want to be debt-free. No billionaire is debt-free. That's like cooking without heat. It makes no sense. And then finally, John says, people don't take chances. They're too worried about not doing things wrong versus, that fear of, well, what if I invest in the wrong thing? What if I do the wrong website? I worked with a company 4 or 5 years ago, and they had dragged their feet on building a website because they were afraid they'd do it wrong. And even though they were willing to make the financial investment, that didn't bother them at all. The harder investment for that company was the having a public presence where someone could be critical. What colors should we use? Is our logo good enough to be on a website? All those things. And I think we often, it's another mind game we play with ourselves.
Absolutely.
To invest is to say, we're committed to this at a higher level. If you're not willing to invest, if I say, hey, Tom, if you give me $20, I'll get you a great deal on a golf course. You go, yeah, you know what, Bob, never mind. You're saying to yourself, I don't believe this is possible. You're also saying to me, hey, Bob, I don't think you can deliver that.
Sure.
And it's the same with our time, and it's the same with all the other resources.
Yeah, I think one of the things is so often people don't invest because they are worried about the judgment at the end. Right? Was this right or wrong? And you know how I feel about that. For those who don't know, I think that the judgment just gets us stuck, rather than if we stopped and said, okay, go back to our 3 questions. What went well? What didn't go as planned? And what would I do differently? Because I think what happens is, even an investment that doesn't work out the way you thought, there's value to it. Even if the value is, maybe I should have done more research. Maybe I could have done, and again, this is all just, looking back and being a Monday morning quarterback and saying, well, I should have done that, or should. You did the best you could with the resources that you had at the moment to try to make a difference. You can't know all the things that are going to happen. And so sometimes investments are taking a chance that I believe in what the outcome could be, that I believe in the product or the service or the person who provides it. And maybe most importantly, that I believe in myself, that I am going to, if I'm going to invest in something, I am going to actually engage with that investment and figure out, do whatever it takes to get the most out of that investment, so that at the end of the day, I can look back and not judge, was this right or wrong? It was like, okay, how was I impacted? How was my knowledge, experience, or perspective changed? And I think too often we don't think about the big picture. You walk away from, okay, I invested in a website and it's not perfect. Okay. Well, now at least you know why it's not perfect, why you think it's not perfect. Maybe you don't like the color scheme now, or maybe somebody gave you feedback. And then if you're only concerned about the 1 or 2 or 3 people who give you feedback, now if it's not working, at least you maybe know why. And even in that case, you're further along than you were when you started. Because when you started, you had no concept. You had no way to, let's say for a website, get people to have some awareness of your business or your service or your team. And so now at least you have a perspective. You have some new knowledge. And you can say, okay, what am I going to do differently the next time so that the results are closer to what I had thought about than what they actually were.
Well, Tom, it's that time. Your favorite time in the whole episode. It's one thing time, that today's antidote, that thing we're going to give people that they can chew on and stew on, trying to figure it out. What do you got for us today?
So I think that when renegades consider making an investment, that they take a look at what is currently real for them. I think being really clear on what is my current knowledge, what's my current perspective, and what's my experience, and where are there things that I would like to add to that can help get me to where I am. If I don't know anything about marketing, and yes, I could pay someone to do my marketing, I could also say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay someone to help me learn, so that even if in the future I decide it's not really my thing, I at least have new knowledge, experience, and perspective to go hire someone who can do it. If I'm not really clear about how to organize my day, okay, what is it I might be looking for? Finding someone who might help me look at it differently will allow me to be in a new place. And I think if I'm trying to get help, work out, and my workouts don't seem to be effective, I might pay someone to help me learn what are the exercises I should be doing. What's my diet maybe look like? What do I need to do about my sleep patterns? All those things that can get you healthier. And once you have some of that information, you may be able to then do it yourself differently. You may also get to a point where okay, I was able to, it was great to work with someone. Then it was great to do it by myself because I learned some new things. And I got to a point where, to go to the next step, I need someone else, maybe somebody different. And I think until we do that deep dive into really understanding around a subject, what is our knowledge, experience, and perspective, and where do we feel like we need to invest to help that improve? So I would say take a deep dive into what do you know, what have your experiences been, and what's your current perspective, and what might you need, and then find a way to invest in that.
I like that. I'll piggyback a little bit and say it a different way, and maybe it'll resonate differently to some people, which is we all have gaps in what we're trying to achieve and what we know, what our experience is, what our perspective is. Those gaps may not be as big as we think they are, or they may be huge, but we all have those gaps. And what I see so often is people getting stuck in the cave of the gaps and not being able to move out of them because they just keep hitting them in the face over and over and over. In fact, Tom, you and I found one that we've worked with a lot of people on with regard to how they schedule their days. And we put together the day pack, and now we have a challenge coming up in the next, starts October 16th, I think.
Yes.
That challenge, the whole goal of that is to help people lessen that gap in terms of figuring out what they need to do each day. It wasn't like we said, oh, we can do this. This is super easy and this is super fun and we have this knowledge. This is a gap that Tom and I had to figure out for ourselves. And once we figured it out, we started working with other people and we saw that they had the gap and that it was filling that gap for them. And so now we're doing this challenge, and the goal of it is to help people figure out how to plan out their day more successfully and more effectively so they can actually achieve what they want. So if you're looking for more information on that, I will put a link to the web page in the chat while Tom's speaking in a couple of minutes. But if you've got a gap with respect to your day, this is a golden opportunity over the course of 6 weeks, long enough for the habit to form. You're going to be able to review some content and change how you do things to adapt it to what you're trying to achieve. So Tom, I think I gave my one thing in there, right? Talking about that gap, and then okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I think the thing about the challenge is that it could be about how to organize your day. It could also be about I have this goal that I want to achieve, but I can't seem to focus the time on it. And so being able to recreate how you look at your day may allow you to focus on the one or two big things that you want to accomplish before Thanksgiving and have just not figured it out. And the beauty is that Bob and I will be with you along the way. So, and we'll give you some more information about that tomorrow. Maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper into it. But we want to thank you for being a part of today's Antidote. If you have some thoughts or comments that you'd like to share, please feel free to put them in the chat. you could also put them in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. It's easy to be a part of that group. If you are not a member, just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and ask us to join, because it is a private group. We're trying to create a space where people can figure out where are their gaps and what might they be able to do to help get over that or get out of that gap, as Bob discussed. If you are listening to our podcast, we hope that you will share it. Our listenership is continuing to grow, and we appreciate those who have shared it with family or friends or someone who they thought might benefit from a little different perspective on things. Somebody who is a renegade or thinks they might be a renegade. So please feel free to share that with others. And we will be back here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. With that, we hope that you have a great day.
You caught it.
And we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you.
Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.